Did you know that Irish DNA is like a living time capsule, a genetic record that reveals some of the most remarkable stories in human history? Though Ireland may be a small island on the western edge of Europe, its genetic heritage is ancient, distinct, and surprisingly well preserved. From the island's first settlers to the global Irish diaspora, the DNA of the Irish people has been shaped by isolation, migration, and resilience. In this video, we'll uncover why Irish DNA stands out. We'll explore the island's earliest inhabitants, the influence of Celtic culture, the impact of Viking and English invasions, and the unique traits still found in Irish descendants today. The beginning, Ireland's first inhabitants. Ireland's genetic story begins over 10,000 years ago during the Mesolithic era, when the first hunter-gatherers arrived after the last ice age. These early settlers likely came from Britain and mainland Europe. While only traces of their DNA remain in modern Irish people, those ancient genes offer a window into the dawn of human life on the island. Then, around 1400 BC, a new wave of settlers, Neolithic farmers, brought sweeping change. They introduced agriculture, pottery, and new ways of life. Genetic studies show that these farmers carried ancestry from the Middle East, tracing back to regions like modern Turkey and Syria. Their arrival left a deeper imprint on Ireland's gene pool than the earlier hunter-gatherers, influencing traits still found today. Bronze Age transformations. The real foundation of modern Irish DNA was set during the Bronze Age, around 2500 BC. People from the Pontic steppe, modern-day Ukraine and Russia, migrated west, bringing metalworking skills and a massive genetic shift. They're thought to have introduced traits now iconic in Ireland, like red hair and fair skin. Because Ireland was geographically isolated, these ancient genetic patterns remained unusually intact. This isolation helped preserve the early building blocks of what we now think of as distinctly Irish DNA. The Celts, language, culture, and genes. When you think of Ireland, the Celts often come to mind, but who were they really? The Celts were Iron Age tribes who spread across Europe between 1200 and 400 BC. Around 500 BC, some made their way to Ireland, bringing with them their language, traditions, and genetic legacy. Rather than replacing earlier populations, they intermingled with them, creating a fusion of Bronze Age and Celtic ancestry that became the genetic blueprint for the Irish people. What's extraordinary is how purely Celtic influence was preserved in Ireland compared to mainland Europe. Because the Romans never conquered the island, Celtic culture and DNA remained largely untouched. Interestingly, genetic connections between Ireland and northern Spain, particularly Galicia, suggest that Celtic migration went both ways. This link may even explain ancient legends about the Irish descending from Iberian warriors. Vikings, raiders and settlers. Then came the Vikings in the 8th century, Norse seafarers who forever changed Ireland's landscape. Though known for their raids, many Vikings settled and built cities such as Dublin, Waterford, and Wexford. Their integration with local populations left subtle but lasting genetic traces, especially in those regions. Viking genes are linked to taller stature and greater variation in hair and eye color. Beyond DNA, the Norse-Irish blend helped shape medieval Ireland, turning Dublin into a hub of cultural exchange and trade. Normans and English influence. Ireland's next major genetic shift came with the Norman invasion of the 12th century and later English colonization. The Normans, descendants of Vikings themselves, brought feudal systems, new technologies, and intermarriage, especially in Eastern Ireland. Centuries later, during the Tudor and Stuart eras, large-scale English and Scottish settlements added even more diversity. This period deepened divisions between native Irish and Anglo-Irish communities, shaping Ireland's cultural and political landscape well into the modern era. Unique genetic traits of the Irish. One of the most famous Irish traits is red hair, found in about 10% of the population, with up to 30% carrying the gene responsible for it. This trait comes from a variant of the MC1R gene, common among Celtic peoples. But that's not all. Irish DNA also shows higher frequencies of genes for fair skin, an adaptation to Ireland's cloudy climate, allowing better vitamin D production. Certain health-related genes are also more prevalent, such as those linked to celiac disease and hemochromatosis, a condition causing excess iron absorption. While not everyone develops these conditions, their genetic markers are more common among people of Irish descent. Even within Ireland, there are regional differences. DNA studies show that western counties like Galway and Clare have distinct genetic signatures compared to eastern regions, reflecting centuries of limited movement and localized ancestry. The role of isolation. Ireland's geographic isolation preserved its genetic uniqueness for thousands of years. While much of Europe experienced constant mixing through war and trade, Ireland remained relatively insular. This meant that genetic markers from ancient times survived in remarkable purity. However, isolation also had drawbacks. It led to genetic bottlenecks that made certain hereditary conditions more common, such as cystic fibrosis. Yet this same isolation made Irish DNA a goldmine for scientists studying Europe's ancient migrations. The global Irish DNA. Over the past few centuries, Irish DNA has traveled far beyond the island's shores. An estimated 70 million people worldwide now claim Irish ancestry, far outnumbering Ireland's population of 5 million. The Great Famine of the 1840s triggered massive emigration to the US, Canada, Australia, and beyond. These immigrants carried their genes and traditions with them, weaving Irish DNA into the fabric of nations across the world. Modern DNA testing often uncovers Irish roots in unexpected places, from Argentina to South Africa. Even African American families in New Orleans have documented Irish ancestry dating back to the 18th and 19th centuries. Today, the Irish diaspora continues to celebrate this shared heritage, from St. Patrick's Day parades in New York to Irish festivals in Sydney, keeping both the culture and the genes alive. Modern discoveries in Irish genetics. Recent advances in DNA research have revealed fascinating connections between Ireland and ancient populations in Iberia and Scandinavia, suggesting that prehistoric trade and migration networks were more extensive than once believed. Scientists have also identified subtle genetic differences within Ireland itself. For instance, people from Ulster in the north show distinct markers from those in Munster in the south, a reflection of centuries of local history and movement. By studying ancient Irish genomes, researchers are even learning how humans adapted to climate, diet, and disease over thousands of years. Conclusion: a living legacy. The story of Irish DNA is as rich and layered as Ireland's history itself. From ancient farmers and Celtic warriors to Viking settlers and global immigrants, each generation has left a trace in the Irish genetic code. These genes tell not just the story of a people, but of human endurance, adaptation, and connection across time. So, have you ever taken a DNA test and discovered Irish roots? Or maybe you've always wondered where your family's red hair or green eyes came from? Share your story in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey through genetic history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more deep dives into the science of who we are. Thanks for watching, and Slang Go Foil. Goodbye for now.